welcome to the January edition of Lift Off. My name is Stephanie Newton, and I'm here with my pastor, author, speaker, and conference leader, Brother Jacky Connell.
Hey, Steph, I'm excited about the year, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Man, I can't wait to see what Lift Off is going to have for us this year. And I hope and pray that everybody that's watching will find some nuggets that will help them. I know that Lift Off, when we do it, I always go back and listen to it, and I think, wow, man, I really needed to hear that. So it really is a help for me, and I enjoy doing this. And I know that you're a blessing to the Lift Off team as well. So thank you so much for your investment in Lift Off. And man, I'm ready to go. What do you think?
I think that today we're going to talk kind of a little bit about New Year and New Year resolutions. And so I think that's something that we all kind of naturally think about in January is the things that we resolve to do, and particularly the things that we resolve to do better. And so one of those is maybe doing a better job of managing our time while we're at the church and while we're not at the church. So today we're going to learn how to work smarter, not harder. And so let's start at the very beginning. Pastor, what are the things that you do to help your day start off right?
Well, you know, when you think about working smarter and not harder, that's a discipline that all of us has to be conscious of in our life, because, you know, you can work yourself to death and not really get anything done. You can have a lot of action, but yet not make any progress. And I believe as we go into the new year that it's really important to think about, and no greater time than right now to think about that. How are we going to do that so that we accomplish things? You know, I remember back when I was in the business world, I worked for a company, and this man who owned it was just one of those people that, man, you know, he just really was one of those people that was driven to accomplishment. So all the guys in the company, they'd say, okay, what you have to do is when you meet him, look serious and walk fast. And that didn't mean that you were getting anything done. It just meant that the appearance of what you were doing looked good. But man, I want you to do better than just look like you're busy. I want us to be accomplishing things. And so when I think about that question, Steph, how do you start your day and how do you start it off in the first of the year? And one of the things that I want to just kind of drive home is we have to make it a priority to manage ourselves. That is, you know, we are our biggest project of how we're going to do that, and not necessarily trying to manage all the things, but manage ourselves. And so what I did was I thought about it in reference to prioritizing your day based off what I call the big three. And I think that this is a great thought of how do you start your day looking at the big three. Now, I want to make sure that I drive that home to you, because the big three is the big three. And the big three consists for me of what I call my spiritual self, my physical self, and my mental self. And when you're a believer and you're a Christian, you know that you are operating in those three realms: the spiritual, the physical, and the mental. And so what I do is I try to start my day off by looking at the spiritual me first. And I like to launch my day by making sure that I've got that spiritual aspect really embraced to start my day. And the way I do it, Steph, is I like to get up in the morning, first of all, and remember that it is a day that God has given me. You know, we say it all the time around our church. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we're going to rejoice and be glad in it. Well, you know what? That's not just a scripture. That's true. It is a day that God has made, and we need to learn to rejoice and be glad in it. And so what I like to do before I start my day is I just like to get my spiritual man calibrated to the day. Because if you're not careful, you'll run off and not even give that a lot of thought. And so I've started doing something new, not just in January, but new in the last 3 or 4 months. I try to get up every day and read a chapter in the book of Proverbs. And so I make that a part of my getting my day going. And then I've added to that to read 3 chapters in the book of Psalms every day to start off. So you read, there's 31 chapters in Proverbs, and if you get up and you read a chapter in Proverbs a day, you can read through the book of Proverbs in a month. And also, if you read 3 Psalms a day, you can accomplish reading the book of Psalms through in a month. And so I've kind of made that part of my day to start with, is getting in that kind of a habit for my spiritual man. And then also, and this probably goes without saying since you're talking to a pastor, is making prayer the part of my day that I start with. Just praying and meditating and thinking on the day and thanking God for special things and asking God for things through the day, just to start my day off knowing that I need to be very dependent upon Him. So the first thing that I do is just kind of launch my day with the spiritual, and then I move into the physical part of who I am and try to prepare myself for that. I'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the teaching. But just the physical part of that, and to me, I don't know about all y'all, but for me, that takes preparation. And I have to prepare myself to be physically ready for the day. And so I try to do that. And then the mental part of that. So that's my big 3, Steph, is looking at the spiritual, the physical, and the mental. And I'll elaborate on that a little bit. But I did do a little bit of a calculation for you guys so that you can kind of put this in perspective. We've all got today, and it's 24 hours in a day. Nobody gets any more or any less than that. We got 24 hours, 1,440 minutes in that day. And so we want to make it count, make it matter. And so thinking about that, I think, man, you know what? We're not going to get any more, any less. I got to make this 24 hours and these 1,440 minutes matter. And so I try to get myself prepared like that.
How about when you get to the office? Because those are some things that you do, maybe at the house, getting ready, your quiet time and all. And so do you come in right as the day starts? Do you come early? What are the things you do when you first arrive?
Well, I always try to be early, and I want to go back to that preparation a little bit, on the big 3, your spiritual, your physical. And what I like to do is when I'm getting to the office or getting engaged in the day, I don't want to step into it stressed out. A lot of people start their day stressed. And so what I try to do, Steph, is I try to eliminate the stress ahead of time. Now this sounds a little goofy, y'all, but at least it helps me, where I don't have to come in to the office stressed. I like to think about that second part of the big 3 as my physical, and that is laying my clothes out the night before so I don't have to get up and run around trying to figure out what to wear. I try to do a little bit of exercise in the morning to get myself kind of ready for the day, and get up early enough so that I'm not rushed and not stressed. So the first thing I want to say to get my day started is to intentionally eliminate stress before I start. And all of you may have other ways of doing that, but just kind of not, a lot of people would jump out of the bed in a rush and be rushed when they're getting rushed and all that. So I try to eliminate that. So I come in, try to do that, and then so that causes me not to come in wired up to start with, because I've found in my own life, if I come in wired up to start with, it gets me started in a bad way.
Right.
So I try to eliminate that, and then come in and review my calendar and think the day through and look at my to-do list and make a decision that morning about that day. And I think it's so important to do that so that I don't waste time. So I think preparation for your day in getting your day going and then getting in the office, not rushed into it, but prepared for it. That's what I try to do.
I think that preparation is a skill that a lot of people lack. It's something that they've overlooked, especially kind of that young adult and high school type age. And by the way, if you're a high school senior or a young adult, there's a JC Impact Leadership Conference going in this month. You should definitely check it out, jcimpact.org, for more information. But
great commercial, by the way.
just a little segue there. But I feel like that's a skill that a lot of people haven't accumulated for themselves. They get up and they immediately just start rushing. And so, straight from bed to my clothes to the car, coffee on the way. Now I'm at the office. I don't know what to do. I really haven't thought about it. And if you don't plan your work will plan you.
Absolutely. I like to be in the mindset that I'm acting rather than reacting.
Yes.
And that stress, if I'm not prepared for the day, man, it's just like everything just kind of piles up on you. So I think that you can really eliminate a lot of that by being prepared ahead of time. And, getting up a little bit earlier, and getting, maybe even going to bed a little bit earlier so you can be ready for the day. Everybody's schedule is whacked out and crazy, but we know that we are at our best when we're ready to give our best.
Right.
And so for me, that is just for me, I like to take that little bit of extra time at night to get myself going and get ready so that I can come into the office, not run. And I think this is me. I don't want to run in. I want to walk in. And I want to walk in with some confidence that I'm ready for the day, that the day's not in charge of me, but I'm in charge of the day, and I've got a handle on it. And so that's how I do it. I like to come in, prepare a little bit early the night before, get ready for the day, come in, take a breather, sit down, look at my calendar, review it, look at the things to-do list, and make sure that I'm not operating out of stress in the day.
I think that review also helps you think about that thing that maybe you wouldn't have had time to think about had you been running. Oh, hey, I could do this one little thing and make this just another little bit better. So,
absolutely.
Well, as you go through your morning and you've got appointments or study time or places to be and things to do, and then it gets to be about midday and the lunch hour is coming. And so, Pastor, talk to us a little bit about how do you use that lunch hour? What do you do with it? Do you take any time midday to kind of reflect on the morning or prepare for the afternoon? Or how can we smartly use that midday?
Well, now again, I have to speak for myself. And again, just getting back to, the day, I started off saying you got to manage yourself. And that requires discipline and, some execution in your life. And I think that's so important. But for me, I don't like to waste my lunchtime. I like to use it as an investment. A lot of times, now this is just for me, guys. Y'all can do it a million different ways. But I have found that in my life, I had much rather have a lunch meeting than I had an evening meeting. I had much rather take someone to lunch or have somebody come and have lunch with me to talk about, business over lunch. Now, there's a lot of people that says, "Oh, that lunchtime is mine, and I want to chill out and unplug." And if that's your thing, there's nothing wrong with that. But now you asked me about me.
Yes, sir.
And so about me, I just like to use it as time to. A lot of times I'll talk to my assistant, Beth. We'll have lunch together to talk about things coming up, projection time, planning time. I'll use that time to meet with people about some events that are happening. And I like to do it as a productive time. I don't like to just go eat. Now, there's a lot of people that do, but I like to make it an intentional lunch.
How about right after lunch? Do you review before you start the afternoon or prepare for the afternoon? Do you have any built-in time, or do you come in from your lunch meeting and go to another appointment?
I like to build my day in the morning, not in the midday. I like to have it all ready and laid out in the morning so that I don't have to build anything through the course of the day. Now, we all have to realize that is that is our best world. But there are interruptions that happen, and you have to readjust and recalibrate and rethink. But I like to get it all planned early on in the morning, so I'm not having to do any building of my day during the day. I like to build my day I build it the day before or the week before, but I like to come in and get my mind set on what that day is in the morning rather than stopping in the middle of the day and kind of rebooting that.
Well, okay, so the work day has come, and now we're at the end of the work day, and 4:30 is punch out time, and so the day is about over. So what do you do before you leave? Do you just punch out at 4:30, hey, I'm done, and everything stays here? Is there a little more to it?
Well, for me, there's a little more to it. I can't even imagine the term punch out. That's so foreign to me. I think that one of the things I like to do is I like to get myself ready for the next day. I like to, if I'm working on things, I like to have it in order on my desk so that and by the way, I operate with an organized system during the day. I know where my Sunday morning drawer is. I know where my Sunday night drawer is. I know where my Wednesday night stuff is. I know where my meeting things are. And they all have a place, and they're all in order so that before I leave, Steph, I can close this drawer and open this one and take stuff out and lay it on the desk, knowing that when I come in the morning, I'm going to be looking at that. I also like to have an agenda laid on my desk for what's coming up the next day so that I can reflect on that, get myself kind of prepared for that as I leave. Now, I do think that once you do all that and you got yourself kind of set for the day, I don't think there's anything wrong with you going home and being you and being with your family and disengaging yourself from your work activity and unplugging from that. You don't always have to be plugged into your office. You have to have a capacity about yourself to bracket your life so that you can unplug enough to be a husband or a wife or a mom or whatever you got to be. And I think that's a good thing to do. So, take your tie off or whatever you do and put your lounge clothes on and be a husband or be a wife or be a dad. And I think that that's important. I think a lot of people get all that wadded up and they don't know how to manage all of that. And so before I leave, I want to make sure that I'm ready for the next day. Then when I'm leaving, if I don't have anything really, I want to leave and I want to shut the door and walk away and know, you know what, tomorrow I've got something I've got to pick up, and I know where I'm going to pick it up, and I know how I'm going to execute, and I know how I'm going to do it, and I have to discipline myself to execute the assignments in the proper order, in the proper time frame, so that I don't miss the big picture of life.
I think that end of the day time is the key, and I think that's the difference between those who act and those who react. It's
absolutely.
taking that time to look over the list and go, okay, I've accomplished A, B, and C, and tomorrow I've got to pick up with D, E, and F. Oh, I've got this meeting, I've got this project that's due, or I'm giving this presentation and I need to have this and this for it. And I really think that end of the day time is what makes the difference between those who talk and those who do.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the things I like to do at the end of the day is I like to look at the day, and I like to feel, now this is a little selfish for me, okay, so I like to feel like that at the end of the day, I can look at the day and go, way to go. You accomplished something today. One of the things I've learned in leadership that I think every leader needs to embrace is leadership, you never end. You never finish the task. It's always ongoing, and I think that so many times in leadership, if you're not careful and you don't know how to manage a day or set your day up, that you always feel defeated, or you always feel you always feel like you're under the water all the time. Well, you know what? We are under the gun. We always got that next thing to do. But I do think that it's okay to reward yourself at the end of your day, whenever that may be for you, that you go, wow, I got this done and this done and this done. And by managing that day and looking at your next day, then you're not reacting, you are acting on that. And you may have to come in and pick up on item E that you didn't get done that day, but that's okay. You're just going to keep managing yourself so that you can execute. A lot of times we find ourselves derailed for a lot of reasons. We can, there's emergencies that happen that are out of our control. We can find ourselves derailed because we're not good managers of the day. Or that we just feel like that we got more to do than we can do. And that's, all of us battle with that. Every one of us battle with that. And I just want to encourage people to invest themselves in the day, discipline yourself to execute, manage yourself so that you can discipline yourself. Reward yourself at the end of the day for accomplishments that you've done. Don't waste your time, and make sure that you're on task. And I say this all the time. I really mean this. I think part of success in what we do is what we call the 5 Ps. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. You need to prepare your day to execute your task. And if you don't do that in a prior preparation form, you're always reacting. And man, that'll just cause you to burn out, stress out, wad up, and sink. And you don't want to do that. So a lot of things we could talk about with that, but there we go, Steph.
There you go. So to put it all in one phrase, so preparation is the key to working smarter, not harder.
Preparation is the key to working smarter and not harder, and it takes discipline to do that. And once you have that discipline to work, to prepare, then you need to manage that. And that's something in yourself. I've learned in leaders that leadership, people that are in leadership, they have to take on the responsibility of personal management. One of the problems that you have in leadership is a lot of times you don't have everybody over you managing you, but you have to take on that assignment to manage. And I think, going back to the beginning of this thing, Steph, I think that we have to look at the big 3 in what we do. We have to manage our spiritual life, we have to manage our physical life, we have to manage our mental life. And if we don't do that together, one or more of those will begin to get off track. And when those begin to get off track, then you're going to find yourself letting the day rule you rather than you ruling the day.
Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of Liftoff. I hope that you'll connect with us on jcimpact.org. We would love to invite your high school seniors and college students and young adults to join us for the JC Impact Leadership Summit coming January 2019. Check jcimpact.org for more details and to register online. So we'd love to see you there. Again, thanks for watching and thanks for sharing.
God bless you. Thanks for tuning in to Impact. Share it with other people.